Hey everyone, and welcome back to Karlova Design channel. And today I'm going to show you how to make your own life-size dress form. If you're making bags and accessories, you probably have run into the problem of not being able to find the right display mannequin for your works. Because what's on the market is usually crappy and cheap or crazy expensive and not available. And now you have the opportunity to make your own for the price of one side of leather. This is approximately how much leather you're gonna need for it. It's about 14 to 15 square feet. Probably not much more than that. And I would especially love to see someone making a tooled version of it, because it's gonna be just amazing and gorgeous and super unique. So I was busy working on it for about 3 months. It's been the biggest and the longest of my projects so far. This is why you haven't heard from me in a while, and finally it's out. And I know many people had been waiting for it, because I've been teasing everybody with it for like the last couple of months. So here it is. And I've also never wasted so much leather on any other project. You should see all the scraps that I've generated. Big bag of scraps. Well, it was well worth it. I waste leather, so you don't have to. So the small version is about 10.5 feet tall. It's about 40% of the size of the large one, and you can use it as a gift or as a decoration, or just to keep all your bracelets and necklaces on it. It's a nice jewelry stand as well. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make both of them in like parallel action, and I'm going to be making that one quite similar but not the same. I just changed the shape of a few parts, but the assembly process is absolutely the same and the parts kind of look the same way. As for the small one, it was much easier to film, and since everything gets nicely in the frame, it's probably more comprehensible. So the tutorial is kind of lengthy, but I think it's worth it. After I made that one, I decided I had to change a few parts. It was really some small adjustments. I decided to make the completely new dress form, so I went to our local workshop and they cut it with laser for me. As well as they made this aluminum shiny little thingy, which I think looks amazing, and that's Valo workshop. Gamar Joba Didi Madloba Valo. The height of this one is 70 centimeters or 27.5 inches, which means it's a life-size dress form. I mean, it's the size of a real human. This one is, like I said, 10.5 inches or 27 centimeters tall. And you will also need something to insert in the neck, because if you don't, the neck will want to collapse like on the sides. So this is a cucumber jar. You can use anything that you have in your household of similar size. The diameter is about 9 centimeters and the circumference is about 29.5 centimeters. You will also need some of the filling, and I used foam. It was like 5 centimeters thick, and the piece I had was, I think, 1 by 2 meters, and it was enough for all 3 of them. But it's gonna depend on the density of that foam as well. So if it's like too soft, you might need more. Anyway, I think you can find that foam anywhere and it's cheap. The leather I used, this one is made out of medium hand 2.5 millimeter chrome tanned, and I wish it was firmer. This is Guatemalan cheap, actually pretty bad quality vegetable tan. It is extremely hard to cut because it's really hard. It's like cardboard basically. So this is the ideal firmness of leather for this mannequin. I wish this was as firm as this one, but when I decided to make another one, I already ran out of this leather. This was the last side I had that had traveled with me from Guatemala to Siberia and then from Siberia to here. So it finally got some good use. As for the time, the small one might take you 1 or 2 days, and the big one kind of requires a little bit more time, as you might have guessed. It's probably going to take 3-4 days up to a week, and depends if you cut it yourself, if you assemble the pattern from A4 or US leather sheets. Is going to take you the whole day. So I advise you to take 24 inches wide version and take it to a print shop. It's going to save you a lot of time, and this file is also included, of course. So whether you're going to cut it with a laser or by hand. And by the way, I only cut the external shapes on the laser, and the stitching marks were just engraved. So then I brought it home and punched the stitching holes by hand, so I wouldn't have to clean the holes, because it's like soot. My God, it was the first time I ever cut anything with a laser, and I was surprised how dirty you get. I got dirty. I was like a chimney cleaner. But anyway, I am happy how it turned out finally. And I want to mention something about the stand. I didn't make the stand yet, but I think I will, and when I do, I'm gonna share the video and or drawings, if there will be any, for free, of course, and you will be notified if you subscribe to my channel. I think I will not be passing rods through the body of the mannequin. I think I'd better do the platform like the size of the bottom. So if the platform is going to be almost the size of the bottom but a little bit smaller, it should sit snugly on it, and it might work. I will let you know. The link to the pattern is in the description. It's available both on karlovadesign.com and in my Etsy shop, wherever you prefer to be shopping. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get started. It's gonna be a long video. For the small dress form, I'm using 1mm wedge, and it's pretty firm temper. For the full size, I'm using also a wedge, which is super duper firm, and it's 2.5 millimeters thickness. As I mentioned earlier, for the full size, you're gonna need a 14 to 15 square feet of leather, which is probably gonna be the whole side. Both patterns are designed for 5mm stitching irons. And a good idea would be to mark the pieces. So these are most of the pieces for the small one. The bottom and the neck top I left for later. So I decided to treat this leather with some beef tallow just to enhance the color a little bit. It's probably not the best option because it leaves some white residue, white stuff. It leaves some white stuff on the surface. So probably it should be hot stuffed, but I don't have a heat gun or even a hair dryer, so probably that's why I had that problem. And now I'm gonna polish it with some magic stuff from Valo workshop. It's called Antiqua Super, and it's really nice to give the leather some extra shine. I just love this stuff. So now we have almost all the parts. This is basically an assembly diagram, except the bottom and the neck top. As the leather on the small one is really thin, we don't need to do any skiving, but on the big one I strongly recommend to skive all the corners. For example, when you look at the whole thing, you will see where there is 3 or more layers at the same time. So these corners need to be skived to avoid bulkiness. So, for example, on this part, we need to skive 3 lower corners. And on the little pieces that go in the front of the breast, like RB1, RB2, LB1, and LB2, also all 3 corners should be skived. So here you can see where are those exact places where we need to reduce the thickness. Also, we have to determine which edges will be visible. We need to sand and burnish those edges so everything looks neat. Now let's get to stitching. These two little pieces, RB1, RB2, LB1 and LB2, LB actually stands for left boob and RB stands for right boob, and they are symmetrical on both sides. The important thing that the skinny one is stitched first and then the chunky one is second. It's okay if you confuse left and right as long as 1 and 2 are stitched in the right order. After you finish stitching, I recommend flattening all the seams with a hammer. Now do the same for the other side. Now we can either stitch those two pieces together first and then stitch the chest sides to them, or vice versa. It doesn't matter, whatever you feel more comfortable doing. So I'm checking which edge is burnished, and this one will go on top. I did not punch these holes all the way through, so I'm gonna use the awl on these ones. Moving on to the belly. On the belly is important to not confuse the right side and the left side because they are not symmetrical. So pay attention here. Now we have to stitch the chest to the belly, and then the front part will be finished. wasted 3 lighters on this project. And moving on to the back, you can stitch these pieces in any order that you'd prefer. So I'm gonna stitch from one side to another, one by one. And here is the assembled back. Next thing that we have to do is to stitch the shoulders together on each side. And here I started stitching the shoulder sides way too early by mistake, but I'm gonna leave it aside and first stitch the shoulders and then continue here. And now with quite a long thread, we're gonna start stitching the shoulder sides to the back part first, and then continue and stitch the whole side down to the bottom. And the same thing we will do on the other side. On to making the bottom piece. So on this one I decided to make the bottom rim out of two pieces. It's not forbidden, you can do that if you don't have one long piece of leather, or you can just cut out the whole thing. And don't forget to put the mark where is the center of the back part of the bottom. And start stitching the bottom rim to the bottom, kind of wrong side out. So you put flesh side to flesh side and stitch it all the way around. It doesn't really matter which materials you're gonna choose for the bottom. Here I took a piece of 2mm leather, the same as I used for the second mannequin, and the rim I made out of a really soft lining leather, which was kind of a mistake because we still need some stiffness for this part. When it's too soft, it kind of doesn't work really well. And the small one needs to be stuffed before you stitch the bottom on, because the opening in the neck is kinda too small for that. With the big one, we first stitch the bottom on and then stuff it. For both of them, I'm gonna tear the foam in small pieces. So for the small one, smaller pieces, and for the large one, larger pieces. And now we need to put something in the neck to help it keep the round shape and stop it from collapsing from side to side. So a piece of really thick leather would do, or whatever you can put a piece of plastic bottle or anything that you might find that would do the job. Let's make the neck top. First of all, let's cut small notches in the round part. You just cut, make small cuts in between the holes. Be careful to not cut through to the holes themselves, and then cut at an angle, so you will be cutting out really small triangles. This will help us avoid the mushroom effect. So instead of tallow, I'm gonna use tarrago balm on the neck top, which also is going to darken a little and kind of make the color a bit deeper. And cherry on top, I'm gonna take a big Sam Brown stud. It's the biggest I've got. I think it's 8 millimeters, and just put it on top like a traditional element of a dress form. And on the large one, this is already the second mannequin, the dark one. I'm gonna use the awl, and I am really curious what things you can find for that part. We're gonna do the same thing with the notches here, and I think this part is more in focus than the previous one, so you can see it a bit better. And for this part, for the side of the neck top, you have two options on the pattern. One is like this, and the other one is just straight, in case if you don't want this shape, so you can use another one. And here I'm making the bottom for the dark full-size mannequin. And as I mentioned earlier, we can stuff the big mannequin after we stitch the bottom on, because the neck opening is big enough to do it through it. So as I found out, the front part is curling a little bit, so on your pattern this effect should be gone, or at least minimal, because I've adjusted the bottom shape a little bit. And as I mentioned earlier, we need a cucumber jar or whatever is of similar diameter, and this part might need your help shaping it a little bit, so you might spend some time until it looks right to you. So moving back on to the small one, we're gonna stitch the bottom on and also add a little bit more stuffing before we finish. And this was a brand new 140 meters spool of thread before I started. This is it. I hope you enjoyed the video and got inspired to make yourself one of these gorgeous mannequins. If so, then go to the description, click one of them links and go and get yourself the pattern and start working. And I would love to see everything that you guys gonna make. And there's a special group for posting your works, which is also in the description. Come and join the club. I also have some nice offers both on my website and on Etsy. They are different. My Etsy shop has now up to 40% discount on selected items. Some of them have 35% off the entire order if you buy 3 patterns. I mean, go and discover the offers. I'm pretty sure you're gonna find something that you'd like. So I think I'm gonna see you pretty soon, because I think the next project is not gonna be as enormous like this one. Stay tuned for something new and exciting. I'll see you in the next one. I now have enough dress forms for the rest of my life.